Fern Call didn't think his life would ever matter. He was a janitor, no, a sanitation technician, as the facility handbook liked to call it, at the Draconis embassy. He mopped floors, unclogged toilets, and scrubbed strange blue slime from walls whenever the visiting alien dragons got nervous and started secreting whatever it was they secreted. Dragons, real, living, fire-breathing aliens from the planet Krythe. The first time humanity encountered them, we thought they were myths come alive. They were colossal, winged, scaled beings who could crush tanks with a flick of their tails. But after first contact, the dragons revealed they were refugees fleeing a galactic war, not conquerors. The Draconis embassy was where humans and dragons learned to tolerate each other. Fern just cleaned the place. And yet, somehow it was Fern, a man with no rank, no education beyond high school, no power, who ended up teaching dragons something no diplomat, scientist, or soldier ever could. The first lesson. It began on a Tuesday. Fern was polishing the long glass windows of the embassy's main hall when he noticed a young dragon crouched in the corner, trembling. She was small for her kind, about the size of a hovercar, with scales the color of rust and eyes that flicked nervously toward the ceiling lights. "Hey," Fern said softly, because yelling at a creature with teeth bigger than his arm didn't seem wise. "You okay?" The dragon flinched but didn't answer. Most dragons understood human speech, though they rarely spoke it. He remembered reading somewhere that dragons communicated through more than words, body language, gestures, sounds. So Fern did something ridiculous. He sat cross-legged on the floor and started whistling softly, a simple tune his grandmother had taught him. The dragon's ears twitched. Slowly, carefully, she crept closer until her enormous snout hovered inches from his face. "Not so scary, huh?" Fern murmured. The dragon made a low, rumbling noise, not a growl, but something like curiosity. From then on, whenever he worked, the little dragon followed him around. He named her Rytha, teaching dragons the human way. Days turned into weeks. Fern taught Rytha simple things: how to hold a broom with her claws without breaking it, how to balance a bucket of water on her tail, even how to whistle the tune back to him. Other dragons began watching. At first, they seemed amused, giant predators chuckling at the tiny human teaching one of their own to mop floors. But amusement turned to fascination when Rytha started showing discipline. She practiced sweeping like it was sacred ritual, humming the human tune as she worked. Soon, more dragons joined. They learned to scrub windows with precision, to arrange tools neatly, even to wait patiently in line for supplies. Fern didn't realize it then, but he was teaching them more than chores. He was teaching order. The dragons came from a warrior culture, chaotic, proud, ruled by strength. Yet here they were, learning patience, cooperation, even humility from a man who spent his life cleaning up after others. One evening, as Fern locked up, he saw dragons practicing what he taught long after his shift ended. Gigantic claws carefully folding rags. A massive tail delicately propping open a door so others could pass. It was absurd. It was beautiful. The mother dragon. Then she arrived. The mother dragon. Her name was Byraxis, though humans called her the Dragon Queen. She was older than human civilization itself, scales silvered with age, wings so vast they dimmed the sun when she descended. The embassy trembled when she entered. Walls groaned. Glass cracked. Even the air felt heavier. Fern froze mid-mop as Byraxis's golden eyes swept the hall and landed on him. "You," she said, her voice a deep echo that rattled his bones. "Come." Fern followed, legs shaking. The mother dragon led him into the courtyard where dozens of dragons, warriors, scholars, hatchlings, watched silently. "You are the human who teaches our young," Byraxis said. Yeah, Fern said. Just cleaning stuff, really. She studied him for a long, terrible moment. Not just cleaning. Discipline. Patience. Unity. Fern blinked. Okay. The mother dragon lowered her head until her eyes were level with his. Our kind, she said slowly, has lived for millennia with strength as our only law. The strong take. The weak obey. It is why we lost the war that destroyed our homeworld. Fern swallowed hard. He'd heard rumors. The dragons fled Krythe after an enemy species shattered their empire. Viraxis's voice dropped to a near whisper, though it was still like distant thunder. Your teachings, she said, may save us. Fern stared at her. I'm teaching you how to mop floors. Discipline, she repeated. Order. Restraint. These things you give freely. Things we never had. The dragons watching all bowed their heads. Even the warriors. Fern felt dizzy. He was a janitor. A nobody. Yet these colossal beings looked at him like he carried the wisdom of ages. The secret. That night, Viraxis summoned him alone. They met in the darkened hall, moonlight spilling across marble floors. There is something you must know, the mother dragon said softly. Fern crossed his arms. I'm guessing it's not about window cleaning techniques. She almost smiled, or maybe that was just how her fangs caught the light. When our enemies burned Krythe, she said, they sought to end us forever. They feared our strength might rise again. Fern nodded. He'd heard as much. But strength was never our salvation, Viraxis murmured. We see this now. Too late. She leaned closer, her voice dropping lower than ever. The enemy still hunts us. Even now, they will come here, to this world, to Earth. Fern felt ice crawl up his spine. You're saying... Yes, Viraxis said. War will come. And when it does, it will not be dragon fire that decides the fate of both our species. Her golden eyes locked on him. It will be the order you taught us. The discipline. The unity. Fern's mouth went dry. He was a janitor, for God's sake. But the mother dragon wasn't finished. There is one more truth, she said softly. The enemy fears humanity, most of all. Not your weapons. Not your armies, but this. She touched one massive claw to his chest, right over his heart. This strange, human spirit that builds instead of destroys, that teaches instead of conquers, that sees even a hatchling cowering in a corner and chooses kindness. Fern couldn't speak. The secret, Fern call, the mother dragon whispered, is that humanity is what will save us. Not dragons. Not strength. Humanity. The coming storm. Weeks passed. Dragons trained, not for war but for discipline. They practiced formation strategies, tactics built on patience instead of rage. And always at the center was Fern, the janitor, the teacher, the man who showed them how to hold a broom and, in doing so, taught them how to hold the line. When the enemy finally came, vast ships blotting out the stars, dragons and humans stood together. Not as conquerors, not as prey, but as allies bound by something stronger than fear.